Is the theory of the law of attraction true? That is, how we think and feel attracts the same vibrations and frequencies, or act as if you already have it. The law of attraction, what's it essentially trying to say? So I'm really just working here from the questioner. You may be familiar with the law of attraction from a range of popular books, podcasts, that sort of thing. What does it mean? It's to say that the outer world that we experience, our circumstances and environments, will be a reflection of our inner world. So, is it true? What does Vedanta philosophy say about it? Yes, but it's important that we understand the mechanism by which it occurs. So we can draw on the law of causation. So this is one of the central principles of the Vedanta philosophy. Causation states that nothing is random, that everything that happens is in accordance with strict laws that govern the natural world, all of nature. There are no accidents, no coincidences, or miracles. So there's a quote from the text Vedanta Treatise. He says, "The universe is an expression of innumerable laws of nature. The meticulous functioning of the countless laws is the law of causation." So nature doesn't just refer to the external world that we see. Nature refers to everything. Everything malleable, everything changeable, everything that functions, that has form, quality, property, internal, external. Our thoughts, our feelings, part of nature. So there's a few quotes here that we can work with to try and understand this mechanism of the law of attraction or the law of causation and how they might relate to each other. The first is, as you think, so you become. So this has various iterations. The idea here is that you become the sort of person that is fed by the thoughts and the feelings that you entertain. We have the saying, you are what you eat. Your body will be according to the food that goes into it. So will your inner personality be according to the food, the thoughts and feelings that go into it. And a quote from the Bhagavad-Gita, that the gunas as senses abide in gunas as objects. The word gunas means qualities. So we can think of this quote as saying that the qualities of your personality abide in the qualities of the environment. Birds of a feather flock together. Gamblers are all found in the same location. There's a quote from Heraclitus, "Character is destiny." So we'll explain all of these as we go through. So let's start by looking at the constitution of the human personality. The gross body engages in perception and action. The subtle body is the combination of both the mind and intellect. The causal body is the vasanas, the bliss sheath. So the point to understand from this is that we are creating the subtle body through the mechanism of our own thoughts and our own feelings. What are we feeding in? The actions that we perform solidify the things that we think and the things that we desire and the things that we believe. So if I choose to act to acquire material wealth, that's a solidification, a proof of the belief that by gaining wealth I can be happy. It's a validation of the desire that I have. And so as I act on that, I'm consolidating that inner personality, or that part of my inner personality that has a belief about the value of money and a desire for it. So that's what we mean by this idea, as you think, so you become. We are creating our nature by the sorts of thoughts, desires, and actions that we execute. That personality then finds its way into specific environments according to its nature. Let's say, for example, that I have a tendency, an enjoyment of gambling. That's my personality. Where will you find me? Well, you'll find me in the casino, or at the racetrack, or at a card game. My nature will select environments that are conducive for it. Gunas abide in gunas. Birds of a feather flock together. Gamblers are all found in the same location. Once I'm in a specific location, my experience comes to me according to wherever I am. If I'm in the casino, I will have casino experiences. Good, bad, and indifferent. The sights, the sounds, the wins, the losses, the thrill, the disappointment. All of that comes to me because that's the environment that I've chosen. Character is destiny. If I wasn't a gambler by character, I wouldn't be in that environment. So you can see how these quotes work. As you think, so you become. You create your personality. Your personality will be found in environments that suit those qualities. And once you're in that environment, you'll have experiences according to your nature and that environment. Thought becomes deed, becomes environment. This is another way to think about it. So when we use this idea of thought, it can be both deliberate or habitual. Deliberate means that it is controlled. It's discriminate. You are consciously choosing it. Habitual means it's uncontrolled or it's indiscriminate. I thought this way in the past, I'm continuing to think this way in the present and into the future. So we can use this idea that thought becomes deed, becomes environment for our benefit. We can consciously choose the types of thoughts that we entertain, the types of emotions that we allow to be in the personality. However, thought by itself is not enough to create your reality. Take a simple example. Will thinking about being wealthy create wealth in your environment? Will money miraculously come to you from somewhere just because you're thinking about it? If that were the case, there may be a lot more millionaires than we actually find. We're all thinking about gaining more and more money. Are we all gaining it? Thinking about something does not provide it. What we need is action, effort. What thought does is it creates the inspiration to act. So what that means is that we can consciously visualize a goal, which gets us to set a plan and then to execute it. And it's the execution of the effort that makes changes. The thoughts that we entertain change the lens through which we view the world. So for example, if you continue to entertain the thought, the world is full of opportunities for me to serve, then everywhere you go, you will start to see those opportunities in a way that you didn't before. It's the example that you're probably familiar with. When you purchase a new car, all of a sudden you start to see lots of those cars on the road in a way that you never did before. Why? You have a new lens now. What is that lens? My brand new car. Because you're thinking along those lines, you see those things a lot more. And so if you have a conscious thought about some place you'd like to get to, somewhere you'd like to be, you will see opportunities to create that. You will see the synchronicities that guide you towards it. And this can happen both consciously, but importantly, it's also happening in a subconscious way or a non-conscious way. Much of the way that we operate in the world is governed not by our conscious thought processes, but by our non-conscious thought processes. They are occurring They are changing the way we think and feel. They're changing our behavior, but we don't necessarily know it. So if we continue to consciously hold to certain types of thoughts and thought patterns, we are reprogramming that non-conscious mind, and then it will be responsible for the receipt, reaction, response mechanism that we experience. It will change the sort of stimuli that get through to us. I see lots of opportunities to serve now where I didn't before. That new lens changes the way that we interpret what we're seeing, our reactions to it. It changes our natural, intuitive, spontaneous response. So by holding these sorts of thoughts and feelings in our minds, we can, both consciously and subconsciously, reprogram ourselves. And then our nature naturally gravitates towards those things that we are looking for. So it's not simply the case that by sitting in my room and thinking certain thoughts and holding certain feelings, the world around me will change to match that. This can get into a dangerous sort of a narcissism, where we believe that the universe revolves around me just because I think it. There's a second aspect of this question that we can cover as well. Is the theory of the law of attraction true? That is, act as if you already have it. It's the same principle. You are holding the thought of a future here in the present. I already have the wealth or the partner or the job. If you fake it to make it, essentially what you're doing is that same idea of reprogramming your conscious and subconscious experiences to alter the way that you interact with your environment and to change the choices that you make. But it's important here that you're not inauthentic with yourself. What does that mean? It means that you're not suppressing yourself. Okay, let's look at an example. There is a desire for wealth. And so we are looking to use this law of attraction. It means if I hold the thought I have wealth, then I'll be able to attract wealth. If we hold the thought I have wealth, what we may be doing is pretending only to operate from that feeling of I have wealth. It's superficial. It's forced. What's actually happening is I'm reacting to something which is truer for me, something which I actually feel to be more real, which is that I lack wealth. The reason that I'm saying to myself, I have wealth, is because inside, deeper, I believe that I don't have it. When you have something, you don't walk around saying to yourself that you have it. Ask someone who has a spouse and a family. Do they walk around consciously holding the thought, I have spouse, I have family? No, when you've got it, that energy, that effort finishes. So the very fact that I'm saying I have wealth implies that there's a part of me that doesn't believe it. So we may be denying that and denying the fact that that desire and that feeling of lack is still operating. So we're actually working against ourselves. So this idea of faking it to make it, it can be used, but it's got to be used intelligently. Don't confuse the object you're searching for with the underlying need. What do we mean by this? When we gain an object that we've been searching for, what we're actually getting is a need met. The object and the need are different things, and we'll get into an example in just a moment. The fake it to make it part, it's getting into a space where it actually feels real for you. Whatever it is you're searching for, connect it to what your own intellect recognizes as a legitimate underlying need. You must be able to justify it to yourself. So this requires some introspection. What's an example? Let's stay with the idea of a partner. So speak to yourself. Take the position of both the questioner and the respondent. Ask, why do you want a partner? and answer the question honestly. I want company. Well, what happens if you don't have company? I'll feel lonely. What's the opposite of feeling lonely? Well, feeling secure and feeling connected to somebody. What does being secure and connected feel like? Experience for yourself a sense of security and connection. Recognize that this is a legitimate need for you. If we don't have connection and a sense of security, we can't operate as functional human beings. Go within, feel them, find them, and then operate from there. So this is the idea of faking it till you make it. It's not really faking it. It's actually creating the sense of what you want and then operating from that sense. So it's a tightrope walk. It's not easy. It's very easy to suppress yourself. Very easy to do a superficial game of this. To do it in a way that is very serious, and dealing with your own mind in a way that is authentic, much more challenging. There's a quote here from Denzel Washington during a university commencement address in 2015. He says, "Say thank you in advance for what's already yours." The idea here is to surrender the movement of the universe, nature per se, your own self as the source of all experience. The idea is that you hold on to a recognition that what I'm searching for is a legitimate human need. I deserve this. And you know you're going to put effort in towards it. That's key. If you don't believe that you're putting effort in towards it, then you don't believe you deserve it. Understand the need, recognize it's legitimate. Put in effort so that you know you deserve it, and then say thank you for what is already yours in advance. So this touches on the final aspect here, which is that there is a sense of mystery associated with these ideas. There's a mystical element. There's a part that we don't understand. Now, mystery is essential for our growth. We have to nourish it. We've got to feed it. It's surrendering to the unknown. This is the definition of devotion. So what we can do is allow the mind to play in the sandbox of this belief. The law of attraction functions. If I hold in my mind these thoughts, these feelings, then I will attract things of the same vibration, the same frequency. So you're allowing the mind to enjoy that belief, that faith, playing in a sandbox, as it were. At the same time, the adult, the intellect, is quietly observing from nearby, knowing full well that this idea, perhaps it's true, perhaps it's not, I don't know. I can't say that it is. But because the intellect is present and observing the mind, it's perfectly okay for you to believe it in that created space. The problem comes when that witnessing intellect collapses and what we feel to be true, we now accept to be true. This is toxic faith. When we say that because I feel it, it must be true. Is the theory of the law of attraction true? In a sense, yes. We attract environments and experiences according to our actions. And our actions are in line with our thoughts and our feelings. Those thoughts and those feelings direct us through life, both from a conscious and a non-conscious perspective. So it is important for us to feed the right kinds of vibrations, the right kind of frequencies into our personality. Act as if you already have it by saying thank you in advance for what is already yours, what you deserve, because it's a legitimate human need and I'm putting some effort towards it. It will come.